Hey guys, Joel Siegel here with your Secret Ingredient Podcast with Culinary Vision Consulting. Today I'm here with Bob Fox from Omega Plumbing. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, if you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself, that'd be awesome.
Hey there, my name is Bob Fox. I own Omega Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We've been in business for 20 years in the Joliet and Will County area. We have three different parts of our company. We have a construction side, which does large projects. We have a service plumbing side, which does repairs, anything from repairing a toilet to rotting out sewers or cleaning out drains. And then we also have an HVAC division that takes care of repairs and new on heating, ventilating, and cooling.
Awesome. So when we're doing these podcasts with experts and stuff, it's always people that I truly believe in. You know, it's people that I've used in the past, and have a great relationship with you. I've been at one place where we had a toilet break and started leaking, and I called you guys, and literally within 15 minutes they were there with a new toilet.
We do what we can. Doesn't always happen that way, but sometimes it does.
You guys had that thing installed in a matter of maybe 15 minutes and we're gone. Enough. I think 30 minutes you guys are in and out. It was pretty awesome. So
that's very cool.
You guys are a great company, very reliable. So why don't I just jump right into this,
Sure.
So a little bit, do you have any like fun stories that you've seen? Like what's the craziest thing you've seen at a restaurant?
Oh man, we have pulled out so many different things out of toilets, cell phones, pagers, when pagers were a thing. Pork chops. Not kidding you, pulled out pork chops. As far as grease trap, we've had all sorts of things with grease traps. So it's definitely, the restaurant industry is definitely a nonstop, not necessarily for the faint of heart person.
I would 100% agree with you on that one. Talk about grease traps. Let's talk about grease traps for a little bit, because I've worked in different states, and different states seem to have different sizes of grease traps. Mm-hmm. And Illinois seems to have small grease traps.
They are small.
But a lot of restaurant owners don't understand the importance of what that grease trap actually does and how it can actually save you money if you keep it up to standards.
Yep. So a grease trap will basically go in. It gets typically set in the floor, not necessarily. Sometimes it'll be above the floor. In the state of Illinois, things are based on volume, water, liquid holding capacity. Most of the other states are not like that, where they're doing flow rate.
Okay.
So as far as the actual grease trap itself, your best bet as far as sizing a grease trap is typically go on to a manufacturer's website and just follow that. A Shire is probably one of the best ones. They have an entire website dedicated to that, where it will actually go in and it'll help you determine what size grease trap you need. Some towns, Joliet's a perfect example, have gotten away from following what the state requires and have gone beyond that. They're way more stringent just because of the issues that they were having with the municipal sewer. Some of the restaurants in the area with having an undersized grease trap, if the undersized grease trap allows grease to go through the sewer line, eventually it ends up in the municipality, and then they end up having issues.
Okay.
So Joliet is one that what they require is higher than what the actual
higher standards.
Yeah.
That's awesome. How can a grease trap save money for a restaurant owner?
Well, you have less issues with sewer line. Less sewer issues. So there's, no matter what restaurant you have, there is going to be grease going down the line. It's just going to happen. It's going to go down the drains. Your best bet is to intercept it before it becomes an issue. So if you do regular maintenance on your grease trap or your grease interceptor, first of all, the grease interceptor itself will be taken care of. Second of all, the drains after the grease interceptor will have less of a chance of plugging, which in turn, you don't have to call a plumber, because we're not necessarily the super inexpensive.
Okay. So I worked at one place, perfect example here. Worked at one place, walked in and said, when was the last time grease traps were done? They said, what are you talking about?
Oh man.
And I said, the grease traps, when's the last time we had them done? And they, they said, well, I've been here for 8 years and I've never had them done before, ever. And this was the accountant telling me like she's never paid for this before. So we ended up paying, and there we had a total of 8 grease traps at this location, and one was a giant one. They had to come out with a special truck and basically suck it out with a hydrogen and get it all wet and break it all apart. And it was very costly to get that done. But then we ended up finding when that happened, then a lot of these grease traps, because they were old, they were made out of steel, had started rusting out and leaking. And they were kind of just crumbling on the inside just because they weren't maintenance. So how often should a restaurant have those things sucked out?
It depends. So there are different, the best thing to do is to kind of watch as far as how much grease you're actually putting down the line. Check the grease trap once in a while, maybe once a month, just open it up and just check, pull the lid, see what it looks like. Shire has again, the Grease Monkey website will actually tell you how often you should have it pumped. Depending, and it all depends on the type of food that you're doing. Are you washing dishes? Are you washing flatware? All of these different things will determine how often you need to get it pumped out. If you're a fast food restaurant, all you're using are disposable plates or disposable containers, there's less of a possibility that you're going to have as much grease in comparison to a restaurant that is a full service restaurant with china and flatware.
Okay, that's really good to know. You also do HVAC, so yes. For restaurants, I know a lot of restaurants, they try not having the kitchen air conditioned stuff because of the expense and stuff like that, right? What are some things that a restaurant owner can do to help keep those expenses down, but still be able to provide air condition to their kitchen, or just general overall? What are things that they can do to kind of help with their systems?
It definitely. So some of the big issues that you run into is, like you said, the kitchen will get really warm because you're cooking and you're running all these all this equipment. Having a makeup air system on your hood.
Yep.
You obviously you will always have some sort of intake. There are other places that you're allowed to have, or that you can put in a heated makeup air system. That's a big one. In the summer is obviously an issue because of the amount of cooling that it takes. At times it can be definitely an issue. You could oversize your system, I suppose, just to make up the difference.
Yeah.
But you end up having to pay. It ends up costing you more money in the long run.
Yeah. Okay. And then let's talk backflow on plumbing.
Sure.
Real quick. I know, when we go through Surf Safe Manager and everything like that, they always talk about the importance of backflow, but they talk about it very, shortly. So what is the true reason for making sure that you have backflow?
So the whole idea is to prevent the water system, your domestic water, from being contaminated. So as far as the state of Illinois requires everything to be done at point of use.
Okay.
However, municipalities are allowed to require something a little more stringent, where you're required to put in a backflow preventer, which is a reduced pressure zone valve. And what that does is it stops the water, any contaminated water or any water in general, from going back into the municipality. So, for example, if you have, perfect example, pre-rinse assembly. You have the hose for the pre-rinse assembly. If that does get stuck in gross dishwater, dirty dishwater, and you lose water pressure let's say the municipality has a water main break, you can actually suck that dishwater back into the municipality. That's the whole idea, is to prevent that from happening.
Okay.
So, for example, on a pre-rinse assembly, you're required by law or by plumbing code to have what's called a dual check. Dual check is on the actual pre-rinse assembly. That prevents that from coming back through. Again, most municipalities in our area do require a some sort of a backflow right at the water meter also. So it's almost like a redundancy.
Okay.
Um,
Nothing's getting passed.
correct.
Okay.
Correct. But so as far as the state of Illinois is concerned, the number one thing is the dual check right at
Okay.
the 3-comp sync.
Awesome. Last thing I just want to ask you is if you could give advice to an owner of a restaurant or a manager, what would that advice be? If you just had one big tip for them to be able to it could be anything. What would that be?
Take care of your plumbing system, because anything that gets ignored can become costly. Whether it's leaks or drain line issues or just maintenance. And as long as you can keep up on it, the chance of you having an issue it's not eliminated, but at least the cost should be way less than it would be if you had to do major work on it.
Yeah, and your equipment's going to last you longer in the long run, which I think is one thing that a lot of restaurants they're just trying to get by, right? And so they always think, well, if I can just let this go for right now, and we'll catch it next month. And then, oh wait, it's still doing good. We'll catch it. Exactly. We'll catch it next month. So, well, perfect. I'm gonna make sure that we put your information in the comments below,
Thank you.
So people can reach out to you. Like I said, Omega Plumbing, great company to be with. Very, very trustworthy. Thank you so much for being here with us. But to say, I also want to thank Hopscotch and Vine in Plainfield for allowing us to use their gorgeous banquet room here. Cool. So thanks very much for being here.
All right, thank you.
All right, have a good one.
Thank you.